the Delmarva Sports Insider, your #1 live and local show dedicated to giving you all local sports here on the shore. I'm Sports Director Brandon Bossert.
What is up? It is yours truly, sports anchor Devin J. Martin. Welcome into the show. We've got a lot to get into tonight.
That's right. That's because everybody was in action on the gridiron this week, and we were working right up to the final
We absolutely
to get this show ready
We
tonight.
absolutely were. That's the magic of Friday Night Lights, Brandon. I mean, it's time for the student athletes to show everyone what they're made of, and us reporters and anchors to show everyone what we're made of too, to get all these stories in before we get out here so you guys can get the most live, up-to-date scores and action from around Delmarva.
Yeah, that's called crunch time right there. Our game of the night happened up in Georgetown. Devin, you were there for that one, and it was a wild finish to a game that we thought was going to be a fantastic one.
Absolutely. Now, most people, you would think when you hear wild finish, it would be a high-scoring game, but it was actually the exact opposite, Brandon. A very low-scoring game that was dominated, obviously, on both sides by the defenses of these teams. But someone had to win. There was no tie tonight. So we'll get to the highlights right now. Central's QB, Troy Morris, aired out deep to Patrick Henry for a 30-plus yarder in the air. You see that right there? That was the biggest play in the air through both of the games, both of the teams through this game, because Sally's and Central's offenses were stymied. You see freshman QB Ryan Stower for Sally's was under pressure all night. He got wrapped up by Kevon Moore-Burdell, and he was creating havoc for the Central all night. And you see right there in the second quarter, Andrew Long makes the impact play of the game. He gets it at the 50, and he takes it all the way in for the score. Central goes up 7-0. Brandon, that's the only touchdown Central scores in this game.
Now jump into the fourth. Sally's has it on Central's 45, 13 seconds left. Sally's needs a score or it's over. Storer finds a man and gains 13 yards out of bounds. Then he goes for the win, just out of reach. Time left for one more play from 32 yards out. And this one's in the end zone. And there's Reef Steen. Right place, right time.
Absolutely.
Comes up with the interception off of the tip on Armed Forces Night out there at the castle.
Clutch, super clutch, super clutch. And I know after the game that their head coach, he told me about how happy he was with the results and the production of their defense all night.
What I liked about our team was every time that Sally's pressured us and had a chance to score, our defense played even better. It was bend, don't break. So we hang our hat on our defense this year. We said we got a lot of guys back from last year. Offense also, but we think our defense is going to be pretty special. It looked pretty good tonight. But I also want to give credit to my quarterback. He had some key runs for third down conversions. He managed the game, threw some good passes. So he really operated our offense well tonight.
Man, what a game that was.
Yeah, it was just dominated again. I'm glad I got that one touchdown run. It was a big 50-yarder. No other points for the rest of the game. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's happening. Both teams got into the end zone multiple times, but they could not score. They never went for any field goals. It was always turnover on downs at that point. Great defense on both sides of the game. It was just that one run on Sally's side that they gave up that ended up being the backbreaker for them.
Yeah, Central, I'm telling you, they're quickly rising up my rankings for the Henlopen right now, because last week they took out William Penn, and it wasn't even close. This week, Salesianum, they're always a well-coached team in Delaware, led by Coach DiNardo up there in Wilmington. And for them to come down here, for Central to commit no turnovers,
right.
You know, credit to the offense, T.J. Morris and Reef Steen and Patrick Henry and all those guys on offense, not turning the ball over once. And then to go out there, play tremendous defense. Even though it's a freshman quarterback, I've heard a lot of great things about this kid from Sally's. They did a great job containing that Salesianum offense, and that defense is for real.
Yeah, they were for real all night. Brandon, you mentioned in terms of the freshman Storer from Sally's. He was under pressure the entire night. He did not have that much time to move or breathe or really think. And he did a great job, because under those circumstances, especially as a freshman, you know, that's the turnovers. Turnover Central. He didn't turn it over until, as you mentioned, the very, very last play. And they had 3 cracks at it, and they just couldn't get it done. So Central's defense was amazing in that capacity right there. You saw he tried to throw it in the triple coverage. They didn't have any more timeouts. That was it. They had 6 seconds. He threw it in there. He found a man, but, you know, Central kind of swallowed it all right up, and they got the win.
All right, well, we'll see what happens next week for Sussex Central. We're going to move on now to some more games from the Henlopen. Got to look at Delmar, first of all, taking on Wilmington Friends in a rematch from last year's playoffs. Delmar down 7-6. Robert Tattersall in the pocket. He takes this one himself. No one's going to catch him as he takes it all the way up for 6. Quakers up 14-6. It only get worse for the Cats. Andrew McKenzie gets the ball in this one, fights through the traffic to punch it in for 6. And the Quaker offense just picking apart this Delmar defense. Now, Delmar would try to get something going on this drive. Gavin Powell rolls outside, airs it out. It's intercepted by McKenzie. Wilmington Friends just did whatever they wanted to tonight. Unfortunately, Delmar would not be able to get anything going in this one as they dropped their season opener 31-6. And I just want to say this. Delmar went to Wilmington Friends in week 1 last year, lost 28-0. It was a terrible showing. But you know what? They really improved down the stretch. I think that Delmar will get much better as the season goes along.
Now out to the dog pound for the Battle of the Bone. Laurel hosting Brandywine, and even though Laurel was playing up in its weight class, this still wasn't a fair fight. This man did some damage tonight. Kylese Wilson, the spin move, and he is loose.
Yeah, Kylese Wilson's one of the best running backs in the state, folks.
I mean, look at that right there. With the highlights like that, he's definitely got to be. And you see he's getting loose, gets some space, but he's finally tracked down short of the end zone. But he gets Laurel in the red zone, and it would be Wilson finishing off the drive with a 5-yard score. Laurel led 28-0 at halftime, and they continued to add on in the second half. Laurel recovers the kickoff ahead 35-0, and it's Elijah Niblett pouncing on the football, and Laurel regains possession. And again, just hand it off to Kylese and call it a day. Check out the holes opened up by that offensive line. Laurel goes on to win this one 45-0.
Yeah, that's right. A fantastic showing by Laurel. Now to some other Henlopen action. We've got Cape Henlopen versus Woodbridge from last night. It's James Kovaleski, hands off to Markai James for 6. And Cape's offensive line creating holes for James. But Cape just getting started as Kovaleski going to find Thomas Messick wide open for the touchdown. Messick all alone in the end zone. Tackle came too late. Damage is done.
Kovaleski again is going to air it out, and this time he finds Keyshawn Mansfield, and Mansfield toe drags it in and stays in for the score. Beautiful catch and move by Mansfield. Footwork was beautiful. 21-0 as Cape was just doing too much damage. Vikings going back to the ground game. Kovaleski finds it, hands it off to Carlton Brewington, who goes untouched to the house for 6. No one saw the Vikings doing this kind of damage to Woodbridge, but they did, and they did everything they wanted to do as they picked up the huge win and the final score of 42-26.
Let me just apologize to all the Viking fans out there. I picked Woodbridge to win, and y'all showed me this week because that was impressive what happened out there in Lewis. Let's take a look at the other final scores from around the Henlopen. Great win tonight up in Wilmington. 34-21 for Seaford over the Hillers. Always a well-coached team in the 2A. I'm kind of shocked by a couple of scores up here. Sussex Tech defeats Delcastle by just 8. Delcastle's one of the worst teams in the state normally. Don't like to see Tech winning by just 8, but you know what? Win's a win, as they say. But Smyrna beating Arundel 14-0 is interesting because they thrashed that team by 50 last year. But hey, defense, getting a shutout, you know, we're hearing that Smyrna's defense is going to be pretty good this year. Milford 28-14 winners over North County, and St. George's takes it easily over Cesar Rodney. So let's talk about what we saw this week. Devin, I think if there's one team that we really learned a lot about this week, it's got to be Cape Henlopen, a totally different team this year compared to last year under Mike Frederick. They go to Slasianum last week, give them a great fight, losing by just a touchdown. Then they absolutely took care of Woodbridge yesterday, and who we should mention was down a couple of star players as well. But still, for them to dismantle a team like Woodbridge, who they lost to by a couple of touchdowns last season, was an impressive feat. And for me, they're rising up my rankings pretty
Brandon,
quick.
I think another other couple teams that we can look at as well. Obviously, the Bulldogs, Laurel, defending state titles, state champions. They showed that once again. I wonder who in the Henlopen, and especially in the 2A, can really challenge them. But I see a team that's really looking really good. We also talked about them. We just mentioned them. The Seaford Blue Jays.
That was an impressive win tonight for Seaford.
Absolutely. I mean, they looked great against, I think it was Colonel Richardson last week, and now against Tower Hill as well. I think there's a team. They're a team that's really on the rise, and a team that people should look out for. And then obviously, again, Central, they're 2-0. Their defense was really amazing. They only gave up 14 points last week.
Right.
Shut out their opponent today in terms of Sally's. So they're a team, as their coach told me, that he believes that their defense can really take them far as well. So I think the Bulldogs have a lot of different challengers that can come and try to take that crown from them this season.
All right, so next week we've got a few games that we're really looking at. Milford against Lake, Smyrna at Middletown, the Harvest Bowl going on up there. St. Mark's at Woodbridge. St. Mark's just beat their opponent, Red Lion, by over 40 points tonight. And St. George's at Dover. We'll see what happens next week.
Now over to Maryland, a city battle between Parkside and Bennett. The Rams came out guns blazing. Luke Marciello with the bomb to Aiden Brinsfield, and no one's going to catch him. Parkside is up 7-0, Brennan. I love those jerseys.
Yeah, and you know what? Luke Marciello really showing off the arm in this one today.
But Bennett with a response. Here's Jace Hudson on the punt return, and you know where this is going? To the house.
It's going to the house,
You see it right there. Hudson scores to make this a one-point game, and the Clipper faithful are fired up. Now Parkside next possession. You see them all wearing red right there. Hey, why don't we try the deep ball again? So they did, and they got the same result. This time it's Nasir Holden on the receiving end. Now Bennett had a chance to potentially tie before halftime. They're going to give it to Jimmy Morton, and here he comes into the end zone. Someone called Don Henley because we have some dirty laundry on the field, though. It was called back, and Parkside ends the threat with a sack. Braden Baum brings the QB down. Parkside ends up winning 35-12.
All right, now we move over to American Corner as Colonel and Kent Island were squaring off. It's Casey Heath for the Bucks, punching it in for the touchdown. And let me tell you, Heath was just getting started in this one. Bucks at the 15-yard line. Who else but Heath goes into the end zone, his second of the day, and the Bucks rolling early, and that's what they would do for the rest of this one. Kent Island deep in CR territory for this one. Yeah, you guessed it. It's Heath for the hat trick. In for 6, and Colonels, the Colonels would not get on the board in the first half, but wouldn't do too much for them as Tommy McAndrews in the pocket here. He's going to air this one out and going to find Tucker Claxton for the touchdown. Yeah, they can throw it too. Kent Island rights the ship, starting off 0-1 last week. They take care of Colonel Richardson, final score of 42-7.
Now out to Berlin, and this one was over early. Bryson Coleman, you see right here with the pass to an open David Chandler. He fights off tacklers, and there he goes. I think his basketball court skills and jukes are coming onto the football field. This time Coleman is going to call his own number. Great blocking in front, and he somehow escapes trouble and waltzes in from 25 yards out. Now to the second quarter, Coleman fakes the handoff and takes off, slips 2 IR tacklers, makes another man miss right there, and he has a blocker down the sideline. Coleman scores, and the route is on. Then now we're not done yet. The Seahawks going to the air this time. Coleman bootleg to his right. Logan Bradshaw is behind the defense, and he's hit right in stride for another Decatur touchdown. Decatur was up 27-0 at halftime. And now how about the Seahawk defense? You see the pick right there, Deegan Risser with a pick 6. Decatur goes on to win by 42 and shutting out Indian River at the same time.
All right, now let's get ready for this one. Malik Leatherbury stealing the show. Y High in North Carolina. First half on the punt return, makes his way to the middle of the field, makes a cut, and he has green grass in front. No one's going to catch him on this one. Leatherbury in for the score. Y High leading 12-0. Number 1 was electric last night. How about double ones now? Number 11, Jalen DeShiel with the catch on the outside, makes a man miss. There he goes for the touchdown. Y High in full control. Leatherbury made his presence felt downfield as well. Darius Foreman chucking it up. There's Leatherbury in double coverage. He's going to bring it down for the first down. Now let's see another pass downfield by Foreman to who else but Mr. Leatherbury down the sidelines. And how about this one? Touchdown pass from Foreman to Leatherbury. He had 4 catches, 106 yards, and 2 touchdown catches on the afternoon. Fourth quarter, Leatherbury down the seam right there for another touchdown grab. No one saw this coming. Y High, 42-0 beatdown of North Carolina.
Really my line. I feel like I had enough time to get off the line, had enough time to create space, and I got the ball. When you hear that you're the underdog and everyone's doubting you, you gotta feel relieved after that big win. I mean, 42-0, that's all my team. That's all I can say.
Yeah, Brandon, I don't know who he was talking about and referring to when he says, the people were downing him, but I know it wasn't us. Now, moving down to Snow Hill, the Cambridge Vikings at the homes of the Eagles. You see Tyler Reddick for the Eagles takes it all the way back to the house for the kickoff return TD. He brought it back over 90 yards. Now, problem is for the Eagles is the fact that they faced a 24-point deficit in the third quarter, even with that big run factored in. And big reason for that is the Vikings were dominant on the ground last night. Kalen Marine adds 20 yards on the ground. Now, he almost had the TD, but he gets stopped short. But then Jaden Ferguson cleans it up, and he scores a touchdown, an easy 6 points right there. And then later, William Jackson adds another rushing touchdown for the Vikings to their tally. And then again, we're not done yet. If it once, twice, 3 times, we're going to keep going. Vikings found themselves on the goal line yet again, and if it isn't broke, don't fix it. They rush in another touchdown. This time it's Marine picking up the 6 points that he wanted. Cambridge led wire to wire, winning big on the road, 48-12.
Okay, not much to discuss right here for, we've got one more score to get to. Easton blowing the doors off of Kent County, 42-7. Warriors, another blowout win. Their season starts at 2-0, and Kent County reeling at 0-2. All right, so let's talk about the Bayside now. I'll go ahead and start off by talking about the Parkside Rams. This team, they started off slow today. Yeah. Bennett gave them, a little bit of a scare during the first half, but they took care of business in the second half. I was really impressed by their quarterback, Marciarello, and his ability to throw the ball downfield. They have some playmakers, and they're a team to watch out for in the Bayside side.
Definitely, but I think there's different, obviously, as people like to say, there's levels to it, and I don't think Parkside is on that top level just yet, or they haven't shown
they're not on the top level, but you know what? We got to talk about those guys that are right there
because there's definitely upsets that are definitely going to happen, and I think Parkside is definitely a team, like a sleeper team. But I think there's definitely a talent disparity between a team like Parkside, and then you obviously have Decatur, and obviously Y High. I mean, both of those teams have been dominant in their first 2 games so far. And even Easton. Easton is a team that was 3-6 last year, and I talked to their head coach, and he told me that they were going to break down everything from the ground up, and it's worked so far. I mean, they destroyed Kent Island last week, and now they had another win over Kent County, and they are just doing so well today. So they're looking really good.
Yeah, next week we've got a few games we're watching out for. Y High at Easton. That's going to be a good litmus test for Easton.
Yep.
Kent Island at Decatur. We'll see what Decatur can do against the Bucks. And then Parkside at Queen Anne's. That's going to be a very evenly matched game. That'll do it for the A block. We've got to discuss more fall sports coming up, including a coaching change for Pocomoke Field Hockey. That's next on DSI.
Hey, I'm Luca Margot with Stephen Decatur Football, and you're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.